Working with equations. Lesson objective: solve one and two-step linear equations. Let's begin. An equation versus an expression. An equation is indicated by an equal sign, like we have here. There is no relationship symbol in an expression. An equation is two-sided. The equal sign separates the left and right-hand sides of the equation. An expression is only one-sided. An expression can be simplified to a smaller expression or even a number, where an equation can be solved, and once solved, that number will make the equation true. If you substitute in a different number other than the solution, then the equation will be false. The left-hand side will not equal the right-hand side. So why are equations important? Well, here is a good sample of various mathematical formulas and statistics. And we can see all of these are equations. They all have equal signs. They all have a left-hand side and a right-hand side. There are times when an equation expressed for one variable will need to be expressed for a different variable in statistics. So, learning how to undo an operation in an equation is a needed skill for this course. This undoing process is how we solve an equation. So this undoing will involve what's called an inverse operation. For each math operation, and if you recall, that's addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division, and in statistics we also square and we take the square root. Each one of those will have an inverse operation, which will undo the original operation. This is how we solve an equation. So what are these inverse operations? Well, if we start with addition, the inverse operation of addition is subtraction. These will cancel each other out. If we look at subtraction, the inverse of subtraction is, you could probably guess, addition. The inverse operation of multiplication is division, and the inverse operation of division is multiplication. The inverse of squaring a number is to take the square root. And of course, the inverse operation of square root is to square. Let's solve this one-step linear equation. We can see the equal sign here separates the left-hand side from the right-hand side. And when you see solve an equation, what that means is find out what number goes here to make this equation true. The left-hand side is equal to the right-hand side. So we undo this by using the inverse operations. So we see that our variable is on the left-hand side of the equal sign, and anything that we have on that side of the equal sign we want to cancel out. We want to get rid of. X minus 8.5 is equal to 7. So we have one operation, subtraction. So the inverse of subtracting is adding. So if I add 8.5, these will cancel. But if you add 8.5 to the left-hand side of the equation, you have to add it to the right-hand side, because the equation is like a balance. If you do something to one side of the equation, you have to do it to the other. So these cancel. You bring down your x, you bring down your equal sign, and then now you compute this. What is 7 plus 8.5? Well, of course, that's 15.5. Okay, so what does this tell us? This tells us that 15.5 substituted in the original equation will make this a true statement. If we take 15.5 and then we subtract 8.5, we should get 7. And of course, you can check this on your calculator. That is indeed the case. So 15.5 is a solution to this equation. The value of 18.2 is equal to an unknown number decreased by 9.8. Find the value of the unknown number. Okay, so here we sort of have a word problem, and if we underline the important words, so 18.2 is the number, of course, is equal to, well, that's an equal sign, an unknown number. Okay, an unknown number means a variable. We'll call it x. Decreased means to subtract, and we are subtracting by 9.8. We have written an equation for this sentence, and now we need to solve it. This time the variable is on the right hand side, and again we have one operation here. Again, it's subtraction. To solve this, we want to do the inverse of subtract 9.8, which is to add 9.8. And we need to do that to both sides of the equation. Bring everything else down. 18.2 plus 9.8 is 28. Bring down your equal sign, bring down your x, and these cancel each other out. So we have 28 equals x. That is the solution to this equation. Next, the product of 5 and n is negative 35. Product means multiply. So what two numbers are we multiplying? 5 and n. So 5 times n is 5n. Is means equal sign, and then we have negative 35. So the left hand side is 5n, the right hand side is a negative 35. We want to get the n by itself, so that means we want to cancel out the 5. What is the 5 doing to the n? What operation? It's multiplying. So the inverse of multiply by 5 is to divide by 5. That will cancel these two. We're left with just an n. But if you divide by 5 on the left hand side, you have to divide by 5 on the right hand side also. Negative 35 divided by 5 is negative 7. So the solution to this equation is n equals negative 7. In this example, a number divided by 50 is 84%. So we want to solve this. What is the number? Well, first, let's write an equation. A number or an unknown number, we can call that n, that's our variable, divided by, okay, so we're taking that unknown number, we're dividing it by 50, is, that means equal, and then we have 84%, and I'm going to write this as a decimal. If you recall, 84% as a decimal is 0.84. So this is an equation. We have a left hand side, a right hand side. The variable's on the left hand side, so we want to get the variable all by itself. We need to get rid of the divide by 50. So the inverse of divide by 50 is to multiply by 50. So if we multiply by 50 here, that means we also have to multiply by 50 here to keep it equal. The 50s cancel. We're left with n. Bring down our equal sign. And now we need to compute what is 0.84 multiplied by 50. Well, that becomes 42. So that is the solution to this equation. And what this tells us is if we take 42, the number, we divide it by 50, we should get 84%. And we do. Now let's do an example involving statistics. This is the formula for p hat. P hat equals x divided by n. In this example, we know p hat is 0.08. So that's our p hat, 0.08, 8%. And that is equal to x divided by n. Now, we're trying to find x, so that's our variable. And the formula says it's x divided by n. In this case, we know n is 500. So we want to get x all by itself. We need to get rid of the 500. What is the 500 doing to the x? It is dividing, so therefore we do the opposite and we multiply. And multiplying both sides by 500, this would give us x and here we take 0.08 times 500, and that gives us a value of 40. If we take 40 and divide it by 500, we will get 0.08. Let's try a two-step equation. On the left-hand side we have negative 21, and on the right-hand side we have the expression 3n plus 15. So in this case we have two operations. We have 3 that is multiplying, and then we have a 15 which is being added. We have to undo this equation, and the question becomes, well, which one do we get rid of first? Or there's different ways of solving this, but probably the easiest to remember is when you're solving an equation, you're going to follow the order of operation backwards. Now what that means is order of operation tells us to do grouping symbols first. Here we have no grouping symbols. Next is exponents. We don't have any exponents. Next is multiplication or division. We do have a multiply by 3. And last but not least is addition or subtraction. So if we follow the order of operation in reverse, we're sort of undoing that order. So what we do last when we're trying to undo is the first. When we have a two-step equation, if we have addition or subtraction, we want to get rid of that first. So our first step is to cancel out this addition of 15. So the inverse of adding 15 is to subtract 15. If I do this to the right hand side of the equation, I have to do it to the left hand side of the equation. So this gives us negative 21 minus 15, which is a negative 36. You can check this on your calculator. Bring down your equal sign. These cancel, so you bring down your 3n. Now we need to get rid of the 3. What is the 3 doing to the n? Adding, subtracting, multiplying, or dividing? Well, clearly it's multiplication. It's written close together, so that implies multiplication. So the opposite of multiply by 3 is to divide by 3. We do this to both sides, and we get negative 36 divided by 3 is a negative 12. And these 3 cancel, and we're left with n. The variable's all by itself. We have solved the equation. Negative 12 equals n, or n is equal to a negative 12. That is the only number that will make this equation true. We can always check it. If we were to take a negative 21 and say, okay, that is equal to 3 times n, in this case our n is negative 12, and then we add 15, the left hand side and the right hand side should equal. Well, we know this is negative 21, so we just need to compute this side and see if it's equal to a negative 21. There's nothing to solve here. We just evaluate this using the order of operations. We're going to multiply, then we're going to add. 3 times negative 12 is a negative 36. And if we take negative 36 and we add 15, we do get negative 21. The left hand side and the right hand side are the same number. It checks. Thanks for watching.